and conscious. This one is breathing from the nose. Steady, Jari, contract. Divide. Sabina and Ezra on the other side. Come on this other side. Support the head, going to stabilize the head. This is steady, Jari. Okay.
Boss.
We are going to put on the head blocks immediately. At first, we are going to measure the size of the cervical collar. Measuring cervical collar, the size. Measuring and adjusting. As a person. Continue with the CPR. My patient. Boma, I know you can hear me. I just want you to relax a little bit. As a pulse, I can hear to hold you in my doctor. I know you can hear me. I know any help? We are going to apply the headlock. I'm going to support the head as my patient, as my pulse is going to the headlock. Attaching an AED. Expose the patient. We are going to, as my patient secures the head, I'm going to perform secondary survey. I'll start from the head at the head. Is there any deformities, contusion? There is no deformity or contusion. I'm going to wipe the blood with the cotton. Any dose. I'm going to wipe off the blood, the nose. The last attempt. I'm going to wipe off the blood and immediately put on oxygen. Is there any raccoon eyes? I'm going to use a pen light to look at the pupils. Are they equal and symmetrical? Okay, I'm going to check for vital signs. Vital signs present. Vital signs is absent. Because of breathing, that is possible sanitary. At the neck, I'm going to check for any jugular vein distension, atrial deviation. Is there any? Okay, while you're proceeding, I'm going to check for any deformities, conditions, lacerations, upon the exposure. There are any? There are not any. I'm going to check at the clavicle. Are the clavicle intact? The sternum, is it intact? Checking for the rings. Are the rings? Okay, is there any flying chest? There is no flying chest. I'm going to go to this other limb, checking for, is there any fracture? The pulse present? Radial pulse present on this other limb. We're going to check, is there any fracture, deformity, contusion? Is the pulse present? Is the pulse present? I'm going to check the abdomen. I'm going to palpate the abdomen. I will change my glass. I'm going to divide it. No abnormality. At the pelvic region, I'm going to use the open and close method to check for any pelvic. Is there any? The pelvis is intact. Because this is a male patient, I'm going to check for priapism. Is there priapism? I'm going to check for this other femur. Is there any deformities, contusions, fractures? I'm going to check the patella. Is it intact? Patella is intact. I'm going to check the tibia fibula. Is it intact? Intact. I'm going to remove the shoes and check the phalanges. Are they intact? Are they intact? The distal pulse. I'm going to check the distal, the salus pulse. Is it intact? Present. I'm going to do the same on this other limb. Checking for any deformities, contusions, fractures. Is there any? The patella is intact. The tibia fibula is there. The distal pulse is present. As we all know, I've done the primary survey, secondary survey. This is a critical patient. No more wasting time on the scene. I'm going to log roll and transport the patient to the hospital. I'm going to call for the ambulance and the medical director, the emergency department, to tell them. So I'm going to ask for bystanders. Bystanders, please. Yes, come, bystanders. Yes, come. Yes, come. The three of you. The three of you. Thank you. Please, let's save a life. Come. Let's save a life. Thank you, my dear friends. Let's save a life. Thank you, my dear friends. Let's save a life. Yes, I want you to bend. At his count of 3, we are going to roll the patient onto the spine board. Is that fine? So 1, 2, 3. Stop at there. I'm going to check for any bleeding at the back and spinal discontinuity, any incontinence. The incontinence. At this point, you're going to roll the patient. Meanwhile, I'm making a call to the emergency department. Hello, we are having one unknown male coming to your facility. History is head injury. En route, you're going to check for vital signs, and you're going to administer mannitol for the head injury. Up-down motion, the patient is secure. We are going to strap. Up again. Up and down. The patient is secure. We are going to strap. Please strap the patient. Katrina, strap strapping the patient. We are covering the patient because there is bleeding taking for any shock. En route, you are going to give tranexamic acid for any bleeding that is internally, and then we are going to transport. First patient done. At my count of 3, we are going to lift the patient to the west level. At my count of 3, we are going to lift the patient to the west level. 1, 2, 3, go! At my count of 3, we are going to move 3 steps forward. At my count of 3, we are going to face the ambulance direction. 1, 2, 3. At my count of 3, we are going to load the patient onto the ambulance stretcher. At my count of 3, we are going to put this patient on the ambulance stretcher. 1, 2, 3. Thank you. At this point, you're going to strap the patient onto the ambulance stretcher. The patient is being transported.
Boss.
Chop chop. The last one.
When you are coming, Ona mwere wako amepotea.
to our chief guest, our CS, Cabinet Secretary, Ministry of Public Service, Human Capital Development and Special Programs, Honorable Ruku, Member of Parliament Kibra, Mr. Orero, our Deputy Secretary General, Mr. John Balu, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, our volunteers, our competitors, invited guests, good afternoon. Buenos Dias, we take this opportunity to thank you for finding time to come and grace this occasion. As you see here, these are competitors from the 8 regions represented here. Kenya is in this house, just to compliment the government in terms of emergency medical response. And all the teams have competed. We have a retelling center that has, the judges have transmitted all the results. We have a Chebukati, and they are doing the final tally before they present it to you. And as you've seen, one of the scenarios we have just watched, that is one of the highest levels the Kenyans experience on a daily basis. And these teams here are equipped with the skills that are able to support and manage severity of injuries before we present them to the hospital. So at this moment, I will call upon DS Jimbalu for his remarks before we proceed.
Thank you very much. Buenos Dias, Member of Parliament Kibra, all protocol observed, competitors, members, volunteers, staff, patrons. Hinivu? Yes. Hinivu? Yes. Buenos Dias, Hinivu is a Red Cross greeting that represents the first letter of the 7 fundamental principles that have been in place for the last 100 years under the Geneva Conventions. I will first start by giving the apologies of our Secretary General, Dr. Ahmed Idris, who could not be with us today because he is handling an emergency in Lamu. And before I give his remarks, I wanted to request, because the majority of the people here and the majority of the volunteers of this movement are young people, to recognize the Vice Chairperson recently elected for the National Youth Committee, Hassan Koki. Karibu salimia watu, just come up here, ndio watu wajue kiongozi wao wa vijana. Buenos Dias, Your Excellency, we have just concluded our elections for the governance team, and I'll just please request that this young man waives his constituency. Na salimia CS, we don't have a lot of time, Bwana Koki.
Distinguished guests, members, volunteers, staff, Hinivu. Yes. Buenos Dias, I know you're not part of the Red Cross system, but whenever we say Hinivu, we usually, that is our form of greeting to all the people that are in the society. So thank you so much for taking time in competing in the competitions. Hapa leo tunataka kushinda. Na tutajua mbivu na mbichi leo. But one thing that I would like to touch on is the theme of this year. That is first aid and climate change. There is an interlink between first aid and climate change, and now that we are here as young people who have shown the capacity and capability in alleviating human suffering, it's always good to touch on those key things. And asanteni sana kwa kuja hapa. Mimi sina mengi ya kusema. Asanteni.
Thank you very much. So I will read very quickly the speech of your Secretary General. Distinguished guests, dear competitors, partners, members, and volunteers. In the aftermath of the First World War, the world found itself grappling not only with the devastation of armed conflict, but also with alarming surge in natural disasters, disease outbreaks, and humanitarian crisis. The battlefield had shifted, and the needs of communities were growing more complex. Recognizing the suffering did not end when the wars end. The Red Cross, which had been formed 56 years earlier, expanded its mandate beyond the front lines of combat and war. In 1919, the League of Red Cross Societies, today known as the International Federation of the Red Cross and the Red Crescent, was founded with a mission to coordinate peacetime humanitarian response and build the capacity of national societies to respond to disasters such as floods, earthquakes, epidemics, and food shortages. At the center of this expanded mission was the one timeless skill, first aid. Born on battlefields, first aid became a life-saving bridge to vulnerable communities everywhere, from health posts in remote villages to schools in growing cities. From those early days to today, the world has changed, but the mission remains to alleviate suffering and save lives, regardless of the cost. And today, the greatest threat to life and dignity for millions of people is not war, but climate change. Kenya is now facing more frequent and severe climate-related disasters. Floods that sweep through Kisumu, droughts drying out Turkana and Tana River, urban heat waves straining our cities. These emergencies strike fast, often in areas with limited access to immediate care. And that is why first aid is more important now than ever. But what is first aid really? At its heart, first aid is about saving lives. It is about preventing further injury. It's about promoting recovery. And it is about ensuring timely referral for advanced care. As climate change intensifies, we need every citizen to be ready to meet those four goals: at home, in school, at work, and in the streets and the fields. This competition is not just an event. It is a movement, a call to action. Look around you here today. Our primary school children learning basic skills that may one day save a sibling or a friend. There are high school students here stepping up as leaders in times of crisis. University students bringing academic knowledge and into real-world emergencies. Corporate teams ensuring that our workplaces can protect lives when disasters strike. Paramedics and first responders sharpening their precision on the front lines. And our Red Cross staff and volunteers always first in, last out, and never giving up. You are all part of the answer. And this is how we build a more resilient Kenya. You are ordinary people doing extraordinary things by refusing to look the other way. This is proof that first aid works in real places for real people during real disasters. We cannot wait for disasters to teach us how to respond. So today we ask of you, if you are in school, learn first aid and share it. If you are in the workplace, train your teams and prepare your facilities. If you are in leadership, invest in community-based disaster and first aid preparedness. If you are a volunteer, keep learning, keep serving. Because help is not a place. Help is a person, and that person can be you. Let this competition be more than a showcase. Let it be a spark that ignites readiness, compassion, and climate awareness in every corner of this country. Together, let us build a future where first aid is everywhere and no life is lost for lack of knowledge or action. I will leave you with a quote from the Mahatma Gandhi, that the best way to find yourself is to lose yourself in the service of others. Asanteni sana. Now, in observing time, I will want us to welcome, with applaud, our Member of Parliament for Kibra, who is a very good supporter of Red Cross and the people of this constituency. Tupigie makofi kwa karibu.
Thank you, Deputy Secretary. Our CS and all the guests, our competitors, good evening. Good evening. Sorry, I cannot greet you in that greetings of yours because I forget very fast. Like when you get aged, you forget. Eh? Is it in who? In who. Eh? In who. In who. See, I told you it will mess me up. Eh? So it has already messed me up. I want to thank you for inviting us to come here. It's not that I have very special relations with the Red Cross, but I want to say that since I was elected as the MP of Kibra is an informal settlement where every after 2 weeks we have fires. I cannot count the number of fires that we have had that has occurred in Kibra. But every time we have fires, the first response that we always get is from Red Cross. Simujipigie makofi. When we call for the trucks to put off fire, we have your lines, we call you and we call the county, but the first truck normally to come is because of the Red Cross. We have immensely benefited from your services, the never-ending services that you offer to Kenyans. The people who have benefited most are people of Kibra. But I want to confess one thing, that since my friend Ruku was appointed the CS of public service, he has always responded to our requests when we have fires in Kibra, and he comes personally. But the CS, thank you very, very much. We had never known that the government could be involved in disaster management until you appointed the CS. We always thought that it is only the Red Cross who could support our people. But I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart that your service to the people is manifested by the activities and your own personal presence in areas where these things have occurred. Because of time, I want to thank you again for those who came for competition and fasted, because this is a voluntary service to the Kenyan community. The doctors can never fill the gap that we have in our society because of the few doctors that we have, but this gap is always filled by the ever-serving people, that is the first aiders, the paramedics, who have graduated from this institution. May God bless you. May you feel that you will always serve Kenyans in pursuit, not for personal gain or personal aggrandizement, but because of the service that is within your hearts. With those very many remarks, I take this humble opportunity to invite our CS. And you know, we were colleagues in Parliament before he became the CS, a very active CS. Please, Bwana, come and address this debate. Tupigie makofi kidogo kidogo. Asante sana.
Thank you. Thank you very much. We can sit. The Deputy Secretary General of Kenya Red Cross, guests who are here, the National First Aid Competition participants, ladies and gentlemen, na pia naona kuna watoto. Hamjambo? Hamjambo? First, I want to congratulate the organizers of this National First Aid competition for this very well organized event, which I'm witnessing today, and for choosing first aid as well as climate change as a theme of competition. This underscores Red Cross understanding of the pressing need for collective effort to navigate or to mitigate climate change. I wish to say thank you to all those who are making this happen within Kenya Red Cross Society, and of course led by the Secretary General, Dr. Ahmed Idris, and the entire leadership of this organization. And of course, I want to say thank you for honoring me with an opportunity to come and address these very distinguished first aid providers and the participants of this very important competition. Because not in many occasions we have seen paramedics getting recognized by government and also by our society, and they play a very critical role in saving lives. And I think moving forward, we must think as a government very critically how we are going to mainstream paramedics into the public service. I also want to appreciate the first aid providers participating in this National First Aid competition. Keep the good work and keep winning. Today we mark the World First Aid Day 2025 to reflect on the connection between first aid and the climate change challenges that we face as a country and across the globe. First aid training builds resilience, and more importantly, build resilient communities by equipping them with the skills that are necessary for timely and effective response when a disaster strikes. First aid is therefore the difference between life and death in times of emergencies. And we need to build resilient communities in as far as not only when the disasters strike, and the disasters can be from different angles, it can be a national calamity, but also, more importantly, the disasters connected to the effect of climate change, the droughts, the flooding, and other disasters or emergencies connected to the effect of climate change. I have read quite a number of books which also says some of the wars we see in different parts of the world have linkages to the effect of climate change. And one of the wars which has been quoted widely is the war in Syria, which lasted for many years, and it has some linkages as far as climate change is concerned. So climate change is a serious issue which all nations in the world should come together and deliberate and take actions. First aid training is critical in operationalization of the society's object in section 51B F of the Kenya Red Cross Societies Act of 1965, namely the provision of the relief to the victims of disasters, and the training and certification in emergency services, humanitarian assistance, and disaster management. It is now clear to us that climate change is a major contributor to disasters in the world today. The calamities associated with the floods, the droughts, not only destroy homes, but also destroy livelihoods. They also pose serious health risks, such as injuries and infectious diseases, which can lead to loss of life. And Kenya is not an exception in this reality. We have seen droughts, we have seen floods, we have seen diseases which comes as a result of drought, as a result of floods. And sometimes the national planning of the Republic of Kenya, the budgeting process is seriously affected by the drought and by the floods because of the allocation of monies which were meant for development to go to mitigate the effect of drought and the effect of flooding and other disasters. So it ended up stagnating the developmental path of the nation. As a ministry, through the State Department of the Special Program, we strongly resonate with this year World First Aid Day theme, which is first aid and climate change. And I have gone to quite a number of places since I became the Cabinet Secretary in charge of public service, human capital development, and the special program. I have been Talbaj in Wajir, I have been Kulinge in Kisauni, that was even yesterday. I have been Marabara in Garissa, I have been Kangema in Murang'a, and many other parts of the country to provide relief services to the families and communities in dire need for food and non-food items. And not only in those places, I've also been in many areas in the county of Nairobi. I've been twice in Kipra. I've been in Bakasi North. I have been in Madare. At the moment, I'm going to Mukuru Kwajenga to provide relief services on behalf of the government of Kenya, on behalf of the President of the Republic of Kenya, William Ruto. And when you come across these challenges face to face, you get to appreciate how important it is to have people who are well trained in first aid, paramedics, because we have lost lives. We have lost life in Kipra. I was there one morning and it felt heart-wrenching to see mothers crying very early in the morning at 6 a.m. And they are not crying because they have seen me. I found them crying. And the fire disaster was early in the evening. So you can imagine those mothers were crying throughout the night. And I arrived there around 6:30 in the morning. So it is painful, it is heart-wrenching, and any government in the Republic of, in the world should be able to empathize and also sympathize with the citizens who are going through such delicate situations, emergency situations. And that's why, as a minister in charge of special programs, I am under very strong instruction from the head of state and the President of Kenya, William Samoei Ruto, that where there are emergencies, where there are disasters, it is extremely important as a government to be there, to empathize with those who are facing difficult times, to represent the government of Kenya in that situation, even before offering the relief services. And I have taken those instructions from the President very seriously, because indeed we have a nation to carry, we have a nation to build, we have a nation to pull together, we have a nation and people who at all times, you know, they have a caring government, and more important, they have a caring president and head of state. And if I don't do that, I will fail as in my role as the minister in charge of special programs in the Republic of Kenya. Many of these communities and families affected by droughts, floods, and landslide are a constant reminder of the severe effect of climate change. They have lost their homes and farms to the natural disasters caused by climate change, and therefore communities need to be resilient in adaptation and mitigations. And this comes with training. This comes with understanding of such an institution, Red Cross Society. And that's why I really appreciate the kind of work Red Cross is doing, and we continue doing together in building a better society together with Red Cross and other actors in the space of emergency and disaster response and disaster preparedness and disaster and emergency assistance. There are many organizations in this field, and in the coming days, the State Department of Special Programs is conducting a meeting with other stakeholders to ensure we are well prepared, we are ready, and we are on standby, and we can be able to mobilize resources, not only from government, from private sector, and also from other actors, probably outside this country, so that we can be able to respond effectively and efficiently when disasters strike. In the face of these realities of climate change and related disasters, Kenya Red Cross Society is called upon to develop broader climate adaptation strategy so as to promote disaster mitigation and community resilience, especially among youth and women. To actualize this strategy, the society will be required first to mainstream its top priority with environmental linkages to poverty and vulnerabilities in our community. This national mapping is very, very important. As I have mentioned, that the national plan is affected by disasters. Money that have been budgeted for education, for building roads, for buying hospital equipment, can be reallocated when disaster strikes. Therefore, it is extremely important for us to be well prepared, and to know how environmental linkages and poverty, how are they connected? Because you'll find those who are mostly affected by the effect of climate change, by disasters, by calamities, are the very poor, are those at the bottom of the pyramid in our societies. Therefore, and most of them are women and children. And studies have been conducted to this effect. Therefore, for us as Red Cross Society, as the government of Kenya, and other agencies which are operating in this space, should do a proper evaluation so that we can identify the linkages, plan for those linkages, and ensure our planning at the national level is meticulous, is well considered, so that when some of these emergencies strike, our national budgeting is not affected. Our developmental budgets and other crucial sectors of the economy budget are not affected. This requires the Red Cross and other societies sitting down together and ensuring we are evaluating the linkages properly. And also it is important at this juncture to say, it's not my first time to interact with the issues to do with climate change, the linkages of climate change and adaptation and mitigation, and what we are supposed to do. I remember before I became a member of Parliament, this time I written a proposal to Kenya Red Cross on its importance to be one of those institutions which is accredited by Green Climate Fund, so that we can be able to tap resources from Green Climate Fund in terms of implementing climate resilient communities in the Republic of Kenya. I remember getting an email which was not very friendly. It's like that issue is not well understood. I want to say it again now as a minister in charge of special program, that still Kenya Red Cross has an opportunity to be accredited to Green Climate Fund. The accreditation process takes time. The accreditation process requires professionals who understand this field of climate change, climate finance. So that as one of the institutions in Kenya, you can be able to tap money, resources to build resilient communities across the Republic of Kenya. That can be done. It has been done in other countries. We can also do here in Kenya. And I'm saying this because I am in the field of climate change from 2009. I have implemented projects in Kenya, in DRC, in Malawi, in Madagascar, in South Africa, which are climate resilient projects, low carbon projects. Registered those projects with gold standard, with UNFCCC, and commercializing those projects to make money within the climate finance space. Therefore, I know this is something also Red Cross can take and run away with it. Therefore, this week on Tuesday, we broke ground for the construction of Global Center on Adaptation with the President of Kenya to build a new headquarters of this institution at Kenya School of Government in Nairobi. The facility will spearhead research, policy and innovation to prepare the public servants or public service and the private sector to provide effective solution to climate change across the country and Africa. I encourage the society or Red Cross Society to also work with Global Center on Adaptation and other actors in this space and the government of Kenya here in Nairobi and across the 47 counties to enforce climate change solutions and empower communities for the citizen-driven innovation towards sustainable development. I urge the society to move with speed and establish partnerships with Kenya School of Government to co-host continuous professional programs and first aid training programs for all public officers. Such programs will sensitize public officers on disaster response and management. I also encourage the Kenya Red Cross Society to move with speed to establish disaster response partnership and first aid drills with the National Youth Service and the State Department of Special Programs, with a view of developing sustainable and integrated strategies of disaster mitigation, response, and management. In conclusion, may the National First Aid Competition be sensitization session of the need for the first aid training and preparedness. May the competition bring the reality home that we urgently need to build more resilient communities that are always ready to face the challenges that climate change may surprise us with. I thank you, and I wish you an effective and running field competition. May God bless you, and may God bless Kenya. Thank you very much. As I'm very sad. Thank you.
Thank you, Buenos Dias, for gracing occasion. I know you have a limited time. As you see, our curriculum in terms of first aid is inclusive. We have a special team that before you leave, we would request you to award them their achievement of the day. The special category team, I will call our chief judge just to give us the results of the special category team so that our CS can award them just before he leaves. Chief Judge Samuel.
Thank you very much, the CS and all the invited guests. My name is Sani Kamang. I'm the Chief Judge of this year's National First Aid Competition. And with your permission, I'd like to announce the results of the special category for you to award them. This is indeed a good gesture because we've seen that when you talk of first aid, anyone who is injured can be assisted by anyone, including the special category. So I will give the results, but I would kindly request that you recognize all those who participated in this category with your permission. Thank you. So, number 3, I will not give all the results, but I'll do number 3, number 2, and the winner. So, number 3 in this category, with a mean score of 54%, scored, that is an average mean score of 54%. The school that came third is Olesakale Secondary, that is South. Let's appreciate it. That is Southridge. Southridge, please may you come. Where are you? That is the second runners-up. Thank you.
Makofi mzuri.
First runners up with a mean score of 73% came from North Rift region. North Rift, please come. Let's appreciate it.
Pongezi. Pongezi, makofi. Well done, pongezi, congratulations, makofi.
And this year's winner with a mean score of 78% is represented by Machakos Teachers College.
Pongezi, makofi. Pongezi, makofi. Well done. Thank you.
For your drivers and your personnel to be compliant when you are traveling, we want to give to your office first aid kits that in case of any emergency, they are able to support you. But also this calls for us to train them to effectively manage.
Asante sana.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Asante. You allow me to leave. Thank you.